One of the biggest red flags with the climate movement, which is one of the things that I first started to question, I guess, when I was still in there, was that I started to realize that the solution for climate change was going to be worse than the disease. So in this case, the disease is climate change. The fact that because of burning fossil fuels, we're warming the planet slightly. And this is the thing that the climate activists are very focused on stopping. And so to stop it, they're vilifying oil, coal, and natural gas, our reliable energy, and wanting to replace it with unreliable wind and solar. And unfortunately, wind and solar are not as versatile or affordable or scalable as oil, coal, and natural gas. So if we were really to transition away from those reliable forms of energy quickly to solar and wind, millions of people would die, our economic system would collapse. So then let's go back to the initial problem here, which is climate change. And when you really start to look at the impacts of climate change on our planet, when you take out all of the climate models that are predicting X, Y, and Z, and just look at the observational data that we have going back the past 50 years, we can see, yes, there's been some warming, but it's coincided with the most human flourishing and prosperity that the planet has ever known. Like humans today, we're doing way better than our ancestors are doing. And I know it's like very chic to be nihilistic and think the world is horrible, but by every measurable metric, the world is better because of the technologies that we have, the economy that we have, the choice that we have, especially for women. One really great statistic is just to look at the fact that infant mortality rates are always going down. And that shows that we have a technological society that can keep our most vulnerable alive. And so anyway, climate change has been happening, but all of these other positive metrics are happening, right? And then you also take into the fact that CO2, this thing that the climate movement is so afraid of, is also a plant food. Plants eat CO2, use it for photosynthesis. So the fact that we've doubled our CO2 over the past 150 years, it's led to global greening. There's even reports that the Sahara Desert is greening. And then there's other things people are concerned about, like biodiversity loss. Well, actually, the most extinctions that happened a few hundred years ago when we were exploring and we weren't as informed about invasive species, or we were just hunting willy-nilly. And in the past 100 years, because we passed a lot of hunting laws and banned hunting of certain vulnerable species, extinctions have not risen precipitously, and they've actually gone down. People are also worried about ocean acidification. It's literally happening on the margins. The ocean is still not acidic, it is alkaline, and it's only moved by like 0.1% or something. And you have to remember that there used to be way more CO2 in the past. So the idea that life in the oceans can't survive with more CO2 in the atmosphere, it doesn't hold up to scrutiny, because we have in our geologic record evidence that there was more CO2 in the past. So the oceans were fine then, and that's when like coral reefs, etc., like evolved. And so, yeah, it's like humans are doing fine, the environment's doing fine, and yeah, we're seeing some warming, but then it really comes down to this fear of the unknown and looking into the future and going, but what if down the path it changes all of a sudden? And I think I get that that's a fear, but I think you can ground yourself in looking at observational data that we have going back the past 50 years. And like I said, the human flourishing is a really good one. The fact that extreme weather has not increased, right? So hurricanes, droughts, flooding, all of these things have not gotten worse. And this is coming from the IPCC, which is the UN body that looks at all this stuff. And they're a biased organization, honestly, trying to look for these patterns, and they're not able to find them. And unfortunately, our media system, our media is the guilty party here, because they have activists in newsrooms who are naive, which is what I used to be as well, who are pushing the most extreme circumstances. So every storm gets assigned to climate change, and they say, and more's coming. You can just see how they even cover like the snow. They try to blame the snow on climate change, or they will see one study that looks at climate models predicting the future, and they will run with it like it's a fact. And so again, when it comes to climate change, what the climate activists are pushing, the cure is worse than the disease, and I will die on this hill. I would rather live in a world with mild climate change and reliable energy from fossil fuels than live in a world where the climate activists win, where our energy system is unreliable and expensive. We have less choice and possibility as humans. And yeah, just weigh all of these different things, and you're going to come out on the same side as I'm at.